Boys and girls, I'm just going to read through the biodiversity notes for any of you that need some help reading through it. Let's go ahead and get started. The learning targets for this slideshow will be to know the advantages of preserving biodiversity, to know the major causes of species becoming endangered, and to be able to list the things that humans are doing to help save endangered species. Okay, so biodiversity is the variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. The number of different species in an area. That's biodiversity. Bio means life, diversity means different. Okay, so if we're looking at these two food webs here, you can see in food web A, it's got lots of different things that are interconnected. There's a lot of diversity going on here. There's 3 different producers. Here over in food web B, there's only one plant, one producer, one route down. So if something happens to that one, the whole food web would go wrong. So biodiversity, the number of different species in an area. Okay, so why is biodiversity important, or rather, why should we save endangered species? So there's a lot of different reasons. We're going to talk about some practical ones. One is medicinal benefits. Biological diversity has been vital to the development of all types of medicine. In fact, according to one 2012 paper published in the Journal of Advanced Pharmaceutical Technology and Research, nearly half of all the drugs created within the last 30 years are either directly or indirectly from natural products. So they're getting things from plants and other species. So a few hundred wild species have stocked our pharmacies with antibiotics, anti-cancer agents, painkillers, and blood thinners, notes the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The biochemistry of unexamined species is an unfathomed resource of new and potentially more effective substances. Basically, there's no telling what potentially life-saving sources could be lost as more plants and animals go extinct. And if you want to read more about that, I have the link there for you. Okay, so at the current extinction rate, experts estimate that the Earth is losing about 1 major drug every 2 years. Probably it's even quicker than that. So here's an example of one of the drugs. It's a Pacific yew. It looks like this. It's a slow-growing tree that in the Pacific Northwest has historically been considered a trash tree that was burned after clear-cutting forest. They found in the bark something called Taxol, which has been identified and approved for treatment of ovarian, breast, and lung cancer from a tree like this. So not only is there medicinal benefits, there's also economical benefits. So protecting endangered species isn't just the right thing to do, it makes economic sense. That means money, right? So commercial salmon fishing, this is just one example, provided over 60,000 jobs and 1.25 billion in profit for Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. However, over the past 20 years, salmon populations have severely declined because of dams, clear cutting, and overgrazing along the streams. So a lot of that money is being lost. Okay, some other economical benefits. America's national parks hosted 331 million recreational visitors in 2017, and the numbers are going up. So they spent an estimated $41.7 billion in the communities around the national parks, and it supported over 340,000 tourism-related jobs. So some more benefits are ecotourism generates billions of dollars every year throughout the world. Bird watchers alone spent nearly 41 billion annually on travel and equipment. And if you're interested in birding, you should definitely go to Marsh, the Black Swamp area during spring. And I will let you know about that later. But that is an awesome place for birding. Okay, ecological benefits. So not only does it give us medicine and help our economy, it's also going to help the world, of course. We tend to take nature for granted and assume that the ecosystem services that we depend on will continue regardless of human activity. But when species become endangered, it means that our health, the health of our ecosystem, is deteriorating. So here's some benefits we get from having biodiversity. Some of the services nature provides for free include producing raw materials like food, timber, medicines, and dyes. It purifies water. It decomposes wastes. Recycling of nutrients, creating and maintaining soils, controlling pests, aiding pollination, regulating local and global climates. So those are all the things. When you have a healthy ecosystem, everything kind of works together. And this is just a picture of some of the things that come from different things. So, and there's also aesthetic benefits. Aesthetic means beauty. Just looking at this waterfall makes me happy. Beyond the ecological and economic benefits of biodiversity, many people feel a connection with nature, and many find nature enjoyable and relaxing, something that's difficult to put a price on. And I totally agree. A nice walk in Wildwood somewhere really always makes me feel better. So, our challenge as a society is to recognize this connection with nature and to reestablish ourselves as part of a healthy global ecosystem. So why do species become endangered? Well, there's lots of reasons. One is loss of habitat. The human population increases, we build more roads and parking lots and expand, and we shrink the wildlife habitat. Another is people are taking up more space, means we need greater resources that come from the land. Therefore, we continue to increase our land for agriculture, logging, mining, drilling. And again, they're losing where they can live. So each of these activities not only results in the loss of habitat, but it creates pollution in the area. And you can see this is an area that was deforested and some more pollution here. All right, so pollution is a big problem. Chemicals used in agriculture, such as fertilizers and pesticides, are absorbed by surrounding plants, animals, and soils. These chemicals can alter soil and water composition and prove harmful, if not fatal, to numerous species. Acid rain, caused by the release of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides into the atmosphere, caused the acidification of lakes and rivers, making them uninhabitable for most species. Now, climate change, increased production of greenhouse gases results in global warming. As global warming alters temperatures, humidity, soil, and vegetation, it can ruin a habitat or endangered species. So as it gets warmer, the temperatures change, and they can't live there. Some fish like really cold water, and if it's getting warmer, it's not suitable for them. Oh, and we've got plastic. We've got plastic everywhere. It's disgusting. We produce so much trash. So there's another thing called an invasive species. Invasive species is an alien species that are harmful to and they're non-native plants, animals, and microorganisms that are introduced into our environment in which they did not evolve. Usually they have no natural enemies to limit their reproduction and therefore spread rapidly. So as a result of these invasive species, so basically it's a plant or animal that's been introduced into our area accidentally or on purpose, and it just takes over a habitat, and it doesn't have its own predators to keep the decline. So it takes up space for our own species that are supposed to be here. So we have some invasive species for Ohio, and you can click on that link. The purple loosestrife is one of them. Zebra mussels. This is another invasive species called the erasure water milfoil. It's an invasive plant species that spreads easily and grows quickly. It crowds out other native plants, reducing biodiversity, and it diminishes fish habitat and negatively impacts wetlands and habitat. So this is basically how it happens. It was introduced in the United States in about 1940, and it was probably accidental. It came in on ships, and that frequently happens, that ships have to take in a whole bunch of water, and then they let out this water, and with the water that they let out comes species that don't belong in our Great Lakes. So you can see here the dense growth, and so it makes it difficult for boating and swimming and fishing because this milfoil affects the economy and things, and it's not supposed to be there. Okay, so we found all those reasons why things go extinct, but let's look at the bright side. The Endangered Species Act, it was enacted in 1973, a little bit before your time, and it's the nation's primary tool for conserving rare plants and animals. And they've had some success stories. So the Endangered Species Act's goal is to recover rare species to the point where they don't need the loss protection anymore. There are 2,244 species listed as threatened or endangered under the Endangered Species Act, with 1,618 of those in the United States. So an endangered species means that if it's endangered, it's at risk of going extinct. Extinct means that there are no species left. It is gone. All right. Threatened species it's at risk of becoming endangered. When a species is listed, it means that it's in trouble and needs protection. Although biological need is supposed to be the only factor determining whether a species is listed, often politics plays a role too. Listing wide-ranging species or species that are in a way of powerful development interests can be extremely difficult and controversial. So there's, if a business wants to build something and there's habitat that's protected, sometimes businesses win. So, in designating critical habitat, factors besides biological need can be considered. Habitats crucial to species recovery are often left unprotected because people feel the economic consequences. They think it's going to cost them money. So, in fact, critical habitat has been designated for less than half of the listed species. So there's a lot more we can do. So here are some of the things that they do. A recovery plan typically identify a wide range of actions that will help recover the species. These may include reintroduction of the species into a formerly occupied habitat. So like the wolves being reintroduced into Yellowstone Park. You should have seen that video. Land purchased and management. So they actually buy the land and keep it there. Captive breeding. So zoos do some breeding and that keeps the population and the genetic diversity, and then they can reintroduce those species. Habitat restoration and protection. All right, so that's the end of this biodiversity. Hopefully it'll give you a good entryway into your endangered species project. Let me know if you have any questions or you have any thoughts about this. Have a most wonderful day.